What's up guys? Jerome here from the Bonsai Supply. And if this is your first time coming across this channel and you like bonsai, you are in luck because that's what this channel is all about. Now, if you guys are a subscriber already, welcome back and thank you so much for your continued support. Now, while I have your attention, please make sure that you like this video and subscribe to this channel so that you're always notified when a new video comes out. So for this week's video, I went to a really cool farm here in Georgia where they grow bonsai trees in the ground. So it's really cool, and they have a few places like this throughout the United States and actually worldwide as well. So the way that it works is the place that I went to here in Georgia, it is about a 20-acre farm, and they grow all the trees in the ground, and they have different species such as like Stewardia, trident maples, oak trees, ball cypresses, and many more different types of species. And so you can walk the fields, and then once you see a tree that you like, you actually can dig it up yourself and then take it home. So it's a really cool experience. It is almost like going to an orchard and picking apples or something like that. That's what I would compare this experience to. So I went to this farm here in Georgia and I found two trees that I really liked. I got a trident maple and a ball cypress, and I brought them home. And so I wanted to make this video and show you guys exactly what I do once I bring these trees home. So the first thing that I did when I brought them home was I soaked both trees in water, because when I got home it was already dark out and I didn't really have, I really couldn't pot the trees because there was not a lot of light. But also, when I get trees out of the ground, I usually like to let them soak in the water for at least 12 hours before I go ahead and pot the trees. And so once I soaked them overnight, I came in the next morning, and then both trees, I bare rooted them. And so generally I don't like to bare root trees, but when they come from the ground like this and the soil that they're in is clay, here in Georgia we have that red clay that's very like compact and very dense, and so I prefer to wash it away because it's kind of hard for the water to penetrate the clay inside of a container, especially evenly. And so that's why I bare rooted both of the trees and then went ahead and potted it directly into bonsai soil. Alright, so the very next morning I grabbed my big knob cutters and I just removed some of those big, very big, large roots at the bottom of the root ball. And as you can see, those large roots don't have any feeder roots, so it was perfectly fine to remove those roots. Next up, I went ahead and washed out all of the red clay, and then here I used my electrical saw and I actually cut off the taproot in order to place the tree flat into its new container. And then I went ahead and I just cut those large roots back because I don't want the root spread to be that large. I want it to be, you know, smaller, and in order for it to fit into the pot, I had to reduce all of those things. So next up, I used one of those bonsai trays. They are made out of plastic, and I drilled some holes into the bottom and then covered those holes with a screen or a drainage layer. And then of course I also used some 3mm tie-down wire in order to tie the tree into its new container. And then next up I used our all-purpose bonsai soil mixture. I went straight into bonsai soil from the ground, washed out the roots, and then went straight into bonsai soil. And then I used some aquarium tubing to protect these new delicate roots, and then I tied the tree down into the container. And as you can see, I tied the tree down evenly on both sides. Now this step is very important to actually make sure that the soil gets evenly pushed down into the soil and that you work out all of the air pockets. That is very important. If you have any air pockets, what happens is too much oxygen or air stores in those pockets and no roots can grow in those pockets. So you will not get a very healthy root ball. And that's why you see me here working through the soil to make sure that I work out all of the air pockets. Last but not least, I went ahead and I removed some of the dead branches or some of the branches that I clearly was not going to use in the finished design. So once the maple was potted, I actually kept it in the greenhouse and I set it on the floor because in my greenhouse, it's a tropical greenhouse and I keep it above 70 degrees Fahrenheit. But it is only 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 feet and above. So my heater is below, but as you all know, the heat rises. So it is much warmer on the top half of the greenhouse than the bottom half. So the top half is around 70 degrees, the bottom half is around 20 degrees cooler, which is really cool because all the trees that I repot, like this trident maple, I just set it on the ground in the greenhouse where it stays around 50, and then the tree can safely wake up and start to grow. And so that's what I did with this maple. I set it on the ground inside the greenhouse where it's constantly above freezing. That's what you want to do once you repot the trees. Now with the ball cypress, I did pretty much the same thing where I repotted it, but this time I went in a deeper pot because I want the tree to do a lot more growing. The trident maple is ready to go. It has a good trunk, good root spread. I'm going to start to work on the branches. But the ball cypress, I wanted to do a lot more growing, so I went into a much larger and deeper pot. Now once I finished repotting the ball cypress, I set the ball cypress onto a tray, again on the ground in the greenhouse, but then I filled the tray with water because ball cypresses, they react really well to being grown in the water. So once I repotted, I want to make sure that the roots are very moist, especially at the bottom. That's why I set it inside a shallow tray to make sure that it doesn't dry out and it will actually recover much faster and it will start to grow a lot faster as well. Now the ball cypress, as soon as I can move the tree outside, I will move it outside with the tray into full sun, keep it inside the water tray throughout the growing season to maximize the growth. That's how ball cypresses get so much growth, you can almost watch them grow. They grow like a weed, but also it prevents them from getting brown leaves throughout the summertime. So that's a little added tip here. So I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video and hopefully learned a little bit something as well about the aftercare of when you collect the tree, which is very important. That's the time where you usually lose a lot of trees. It's always in the aftercare. So just by putting it on the ground, keeping it above freezing, and make sure that there's no wind that directly hits the tree, you have a much higher success rate. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.